Okay, you guys, I have finally given in to your requests. I have gotten several requests to do more recap and reviews for TV shows, and for quite some time I've been on the fence about doing recap and reviews for Game of Thrones since so many people do them. But you know what? I'm gonna start doing them. These aren't gonna be quite as in-depth as my other recap and reviews for shows because Game of Thrones has just so much to the entire world that you just can't cover it all. It's impossible. It's impossible to cover it all, and there are other people that cover all of it way better than me. But I'm gonna cover it in my way and hope y'all enjoy this. Now, I'm starting a little late. I know season 6 is 2 episodes in already, so what I'm gonna do is just talk about the first 2 episodes and the moments that really stood out to me. Now, starting off with episode 1, The Red Woman, it started off showing us Jon Snow being discovered by Ser Davos after he has been betrayed by the Night's Watch and killed. It is a very intense scene because we see Ghost howling and clawing at the door trying to get out to go to Jon, and he just can't. And I felt so bad for Ghost at that moment that I just couldn't even deal. And something else about this, a lot of people had been picking this apart, and when Jon was killed, I was one of the ones inspecting his blood. And when I was inspecting his blood as it was pooling out of him, it seemed to at one point form a wolf. And then in the season 6 premiere, when they kind of like showed him like all the blood already all around him, it looked kind of like a dragon. Like, that was really interesting to me, and I don't know if it was fully intentional or what. I have a feeling it was a bit intentional, but I just thought that was a really great thing to include. And for those of us that read into all of that, yes, it was good. Another thing that we see in the first episode of the season is Arya learning how to deal with being blind after taking advantage of being able to use the faces and being punished by the many-faced god. Yeah, I think she is going to be the ultimate badass. I am a huge Arya fan. She is my favorite female character on the show. I know, it's unexpected. A lot of people are all about Daenerys and stuff, but Arya's my girl. Arya's my girl. I love her. I love her. I love Dany as well. If you look right here, you can see all 4 of my top favorite characters in the show. Got Jon, Arya, Dany, and Tyrion. Those are my top 4 favorite characters. If or when any of those top 4 favorite characters are gone for good, yeah, I'm not gonna be okay, but I'll find a way to deal. Another thing that we see in this episode are Sansa and Reek, aka Theon, running from Ramsay's army and the hounds, and it is not good. It's not looking good for them. I didn't know at that point if they were going to get away or what, but they crossed a freezing river and start to get hyperthermic, and I just think at this moment that they're going to like strip all their clothes off and start sharing body heat because it's Game of Thrones and that's totally the thing to do when you're freezing. And anyways, back to the point at hand. They are then just about caught up to, they are trying to hide, but it's not going so well. So Theon decides to go and distract the hounds while Sansa runs off to safety. Well, he goes about 5 steps and yeah, they catch him. Can we just say that was an oh shit moment for him? Because that was an oh shit moment. He did not accomplish anything right there. But luckily, Brienne and Podrick showed up, saved the day. Brienne finally is in service to Sansa as Catelyn always wanted her to be. And I feel like this is going to be a really great season for Brienne because she has killed Stannis. She is now in service to Sansa. And she is where she has been trying to get to for several seasons now, and I cannot wait to see how she does in this new role as Sansa's protector. Back in Meereen in episode 1, we see Tyrion and Varys walking the streets, and everything has just descended into madness. It has gotten so crazy since Daenerys disappeared, and yeah, it's really bad. Daario and Jorah are still looking for Daenerys and have yet to find her, but Jorah does find her ring, you know, the ring she dropped when the Horde came and surrounded her. Yeah, he totally found that. I don't know how, it's like a needle in a haystack, but he found it, and they figure out that she's basically been taken by a Dothraki horde, and yeah, things aren't looking too good for her, especially when we see her among the horde. They are mocking her and don't realize that she understands their language, and when she is brought in front of the Khal, she makes him understand that she was the wife of Khal Drogo, and then she's told that she's going to be sent off with all the widows of former Khals. Yeah. That's not cool. So that's what went down with Daenerys in this episode. Now, let's move on to the Lannisters, because they are having a time of it so far this season. When we first see the Lannisters, we see Cersei getting all excited for Myrcella's arrival back home to King's Landing, and yeah, Myrcella's dead because Ellaria poisoned her last season. And now Cersei is really, really worried about that premonition she got way back when she was a child about having all of her children die. And yeah, all she's got left is Tommen. And yeah, he is pretty wimpy. I don't see him lasting very long. I really don't see it. I could be wrong. It's Game of Thrones. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going down right there. Back in Dorne, though, that is when things just really hit the fan and blew my mind. I mean, I was not expecting what happened to happen. So we see Doran Martell get a note saying that Myrcella has been murdered, and Ellaria very quickly murders him. Yeah. Wow. My eyes got so wide at this moment. I just couldn't even believe what I was seeing. And then everybody around him that is loyal to him is killed. And we then see the Sand Snakes on a ship with Prince Trystane, and they kill him. Yep. Spike through the head. That happened. That totally happened. So now Ellaria and the Sand Snakes are in control of Dorne, and who knows what's going to happen next with them. I have no idea, but I have a feeling they are going to want to kill some more Lannisters. Okay, so back to the Wall in the Night's Watch and everything that is going down over there after Jon has been killed. Alliser Thorne quickly takes over. He is very quick to convince the Night's Watch that he was just in his actions of treachery, and I just was completely blown away by how quickly they were like, oh, okay. Really? Really? So then another thing we see with him is he is trying to get a hold of Jon's body to get rid of it and then assume the role of Lord Commander. Well, those loyal to Jon, led by Sir Davos, they are not letting him get a hold of that body. Davos remembers that Jon has others besides those in the Night's Watch that are loyal to him, so he sends for help as they kind of have a standoff with Thorne and those that have betrayed Jon, aka that little shit Ollie. Yeah, seriously, that kid just, yeah, I hate that kid. Afterwards, at the end of this episode, we see a very shocking scene with Melisandre that just, I was not expecting it. I really wasn't expecting it, and it took me a little while to come to terms with it because we see her in her room and we think she's gonna start doing all these weird spells and stuff and doing her whole, you know, what she does. Well, she takes off that necklace that has been around her neck since the beginning, and what we see then is not. I don't think any of us were expecting this. I don't know if it is the full source of her glamour, but when she takes it off, she's an old lady. I mean, she is an old lady. Wow. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. And that is basically everything that went down in the first episode. Now, let's move on to episode 2, Home. It is now one of my single most favorite episodes of the show so far, and I know many of you know why this is, but it's not only for that specific reason I'm going to get to. One reason is we finally saw Lyanna Stark. No, she's not alive. It was a flashback scene because they finally brought Bran back. After a full season without him, he is back. We see him with the three-eyed raven, and Brandon is seeing a flashback of a young Ned, his uncle Benjen, his uncle Brandon, and his aunt Lyanna. And, surprisingly, Willis, aka Hodor. This was an incredible scene. I did not quite see it coming like this, but what I saw just blew me away. I mean, for one, we got to finally see Lyanna. I mean, they've always referenced her in the show and books and stuff, but we actually see someone cast in the role, a young version of her, but it's her, and just, she's a badass, and I love it. I love it. It's so great. And then we also see that Hodor used to be able to speak. I mean, other words besides Hodor. That is going to be, I hope that is explored more. I hope we learn more about why he only says Hodor, because I feel like that's going to be very important down the line. Now, back to Castle Black. One of the best scenes in this entire episode was when Wun-Wun and the Wildlings burst into the Night's Watch and take over. I mean, the Night's Watch have their asses handed to them by all of them, and Wun-Wun, after getting shot by an arrow, just smashes the guy that shot him into the wall, and he just goes splat. Like, yeah, and everyone just drops their weapons then. It's so great. I was cracking up laughing and cheering when watching this entire scene. And then we see Tormund Giantsbane being brought to see Jon's body, and he makes a note that it took so many knives to kill Jon. And that's what I really love about this entire scene, is it really shows how much Tormund has changed as a character as well, and how close of a friend he was to Jon. They have a lot of mutual respect for each other, and it was very rocky in the beginning, but once they like fully built that friendship up, I knew Jon had the Wildlings on his side. I mean, he has Tormund, and after everything that they have been through together, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with together. Okay, so back to Arya. She is still blind. She is still trying to figure out how to survive this new state of being, and she is continuously taunted by that girl, and finally, after many days, or I don't know how long she has been this way, but she is given another chance by Jaqen and the Many-Faced God to become no one and hopefully eventually get her sight back. So I'm going to be very interested to see how that progresses over the season. Alright, let's get back to Sansa, Theon, Brienne, and Podrick. After they have been saved, Theon decides that Sansa is going to be better off with Brienne and Podrick without him, and he just doesn't feel like Jon will ever forgive him for all that he's done, and I have to agree right there. And then there's this bittersweet moment of goodbyes between Sansa and Theon, and Theon then leaves to hopefully be welcomed back home to his waiting father and sister. Well, I'm sorry, Theon, but your dad's dead because his brother killed him. Yes. Now, in this episode, we see just an incredible scene that happens between Lord Balon Greyjoy and his brother Euron Greyjoy, who supposedly was dead. Well, he's back from the dead. He is the Storm, and he throws his brother off a bridge. Yeah, that happened. And I am glad it happened, because Theon's dad is not a nice guy. He's not a nice guy. Now, let's go and talk about what went down in Meereen in episode 2, because I was really nervous in the entirety of this scene. Just, I don't know what Tyrion was thinking, but he was talking to Missandei and Varys, and when he finds out that the dragons haven't been eating, he tells them that dragons don't do well in captivity and has the smart idea to go down and unchain them himself. I thought the dragons were going to be eating him for dinner. I was really nervous that they were about to kill Tyrion, but I shouldn't have been super nervous about that. It's Tyrion. But you know, that they kill people we never expect to be killed all the time on Game of Thrones, so no one is safe. Not fully. But yeah, the dragons let him take their chains off and did not eat him. So, wow. Just, wow. Tyrion is awesome. Let's get back to King's Landing and everything that happened over there in this episode, because there were a lot of wow moments. Wow moment number 1. Sir Zombie Mountain Gregor Clegane gets pissed on by a drunk dude that has been going on and on and on about Cersei and her walk of shame. And yeah, he gets his head crushed. That totally happened, and I cracked up laughing. The next thing that blew me away and is wow moment number 2 is when Cersei is banned from attending Myrcella's funeral. Tommen thinks that he is protecting his mother by keeping her away, and he's just afraid to approach his mother at this moment and feels like nothing because he is not really protector of the realm and is a horrible king. They make up later on in the episode, but yeah, that's the gist of it. The next and wow moment number 3 is when Jaime Lannister threatens the High Sparrow, and yeah, we know things are really gonna go down between the Lannisters and all of them throughout this entire season. It's gonna get insane, and I cannot wait to see what happens. I have a feeling Tommen is going to be one of the casualties of this war. Alright, so let's get back to Winterfell and all things Ramsay. Yeah, Ramsay. Oh, this guy. I hate him so very much. He kills Roose Bolton, which I don't care about that, but he then kills his stepmother and newborn baby brother by feeding them to his hounds. What? I thought he couldn't shock me anymore. I was wrong. I was not okay with that. That was not cool, but I'm glad that they did not show that happening. Like, they panned away from that whole scene and we didn't have to see it. We just had to see Ramsay's face as he watched it go down. For him to be able to watch his baby brother being torn apart by hounds and not even blink, yeah, he's gonna get dead in a very colorful way at some point. I don't know when, but at some point he's gonna get his. Okay, I know all of you have been waiting for me to share my thoughts on this final scene that just had me screaming and really excited. So back at Castle Black, Sir Davos goes and asks Melisandre if there is any kind of magic she knows that can bring Jon Snow back. Yeah, so she says that she has seen magics performed that have brought people back to life that shouldn't have been possible. and she doesn't have that ability. Well, Davos then asks her if she has ever even tried to bring someone back, and she says no, and yeah, so he talks her into trying it on Jon Snow. I totally expected this scene to happen, but I did not expect all of this to really start happening until, I don't know, mid-season. Not in episode 2. I thought they were gonna wait longer, so that really surprised me. But when she starts kind of doing this whole ritual of cleaning Jon's body and trimming some of his hair, throwing it into the flames and all of this, she doesn't really believe that she can bring him back, but she's basically at this point just humoring everyone in trying. And at the end of this whole ritual, she says, please, and when nothing happens, one by one, everyone then leaves the room, Davos being seemingly the last one to leave the room. And we're like, okay, but something I've been paying attention to this entire scene is Ghost. Ghost is just big chillin', taking a nap or whatever. And all of a sudden, Ghost wakes up and looks up towards Jon. And it starts slowly, we start to zoom in on Jon and his face, and boom. His eyes open, he gasps for breath, he is back alive, and oh yes, yes. I have been a firm believer that Jon was going to come back to life since he was killed. There was never a doubt in my mind that he would come back, and with the fact that they are showing all of these flashbacks now and showing Lyanna and all of this, I really feel like R+L=J is going to be 100% confirmed this season. My hopes for Jon this season are that he gets his revenge, we see a Stark reunion, he learns the truth of his birth, and I have many more hopes for Jon, but those are some of the main ones, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. I hope y'all enjoyed this. If y'all did, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.